Oh, cool! A new wireless solution from Rode. This video is gonna do great! Oh. Ew. Big news as Rode continues to absolutely dominate the audio world in 2023 with their latest release of the Wireless Pro. Of course, these do come on the heels of the Wireless Me from earlier this year and the Wireless Go 2 from a few years back. And while I generally hate the use of the word pro and usually downplay it as marketing crap, these might actually live up to the name. But how, you might ask? Well, let's take a closer look. The design is almost completely unchanged from the Wireless Go 2. There is an extra button added to the transmitters and the glossy top does return, but with a few more stylish curves. And yes, I can hear you yelling at the screen. We'll talk about that glossy finish in a bit. Also, the only other change is the screw-on port for the lav mic. This is a well-needed addition and something that will make you less anxious while recording. Also, the microphones haven't changed at all, so same great sound. And really, that's about it. Now, all that said, it does get really exciting when you see what has been upgraded. Now, this thing is packed with goodies and not so small upgrades. I think everyone agrees that 32-bit float is the big upgrade to Rode's wireless system. This offers you more headroom when recording and all in all, a carefree experience when you're recording in the field. Basically, no sound is too quiet or too loud and it can all be adjusted in post-production without losing any quality. Essentially, no more peaks or noisy, quiet moments. Arguably, this has to be the best integration of it this year, and considering 32-bit float has been a bit of a marketing ploy, I don't think it is here. This will actually be something that will be utilized by everyone using these things. Now, if you want to know more about 32-bit and how it impacts your recordings, you can check out my video on the 5th gen NT1 up here. Next up is timecode. Now, this specifically is the pro in these things, and whether or not you want it or need it, I do know many people that have been lusting for this feature from Rode. Simply put, it's a way to sync up your audio and video while you're shooting, so when you get into post-production, there are absolutely no sync issues. Now, this becomes a much bigger deal as your production gets bigger and bigger, which is where the pro thing kind of comes in. Now, if you want to know more about timecode without me putting you to sleep, Rode did a great video that covers everything you need to know about timecode, along with the Rode Wireless Pro. And finally, at least for the big upgrades on this thing, we have the gain assist. Now, when you consider the 32-bit float, this is kind of redundant, but I can see this being a handy feature when you just can't be arsed to set your own gain. I can't imagine a lot of seasoned pros using this feature, but having it might be a plus for you. Basically, this is Rode just throwing the kitchen sink in as a bonus, and considering the 32-bit float, all your anxiety around gain should be a thing of the past. But all those big upgrades aren't the only thing. There are a ton of creature comfort upgrades on this thing when comparing it to the Wireless Pro 2. The most obvious has to be the charging case, and as well as the secondary case that you get, which is just chock full of goodies. The ability to charge all your units at once is a big plus, but more than that, the ability to access all of the units in Rode Central is having to change your settings one at a time is a gigantic pain in the butt. So I, for one, am happy with that improvement. Also, the Wireless Pro has a range of an extra 60 meters on top of the 200 meters that the Wireless Go 2 has. And this is just a mere fraction because when you look at 260 meters and exactly how far it is, it's actually a little over a quarter of a kilometer. So pretty impressive. Don't know how far I am right now, but easily within the range of the Wireless Pro. But again, that isn't it. The receiver also comes with a headphone preamp, so you or someone else can be monitoring the feed. This is one of those features that you won't realize how important it is until you try to live without it. Also, Caleb Pike with DSLR Video Shooter had a cool concept where he attached the receiver to a pair of headphones. Gotta love those video guys trying to optimize. But staying with the receiver, there's also a lot more you can do with it. Gone is the massive amount of information, meaning it's easier to see where you are at a glance. And the other info is in the menus on the device. Plus, you have a lot more control for setting up your channels now, meaning less time running back to a computer to use Rode Central. In fact, outside of timecode, once you get these set up, there's little reason to have these things plugged into your phone or computer at all. Also, a record button has been added to the transmitters, which means these things can be used as standalone recorders. That's cool. Now, again, I need to point out the threaded connections for the lav mics, a must in the pro world where you can't fail for something as stupid as a mic coming unplugged. Also, it will work with other brands of lavs, so worry not. And we haven't even gone over the things that come in the extra pack. And again, these aren't purchased add-ons. They actually come with the set. Of course, you get all the cabling needed to shoot and to maintain the gear. You get 2 Rode Lavalier 2 mics with all the usual windscreens. You get these color coding things for the lavs, quite handy. But for me, the best thing that comes in these cases is the magnets for the transmitters. These things can now just attach to any shirt. No need to awkwardly clip them to your shirt anymore. Honestly, this is low-key one of the best improvements to the Rode wireless system for me. Well, then what about cons? And I do feel like we need to stop off here for at least one thing. While I do feel kind of petty for it, this gloss finish, it's very polarizing. I do love how it looks when it's clean. And credit to Rode, they do include a white for it, so you can keep it looking nice. But again, pro. Perhaps offering a matte option is a good idea, at least for the transmitters. The glossy finish doesn't play nice with gaff tape, and I can already hear the video guys groaning. And for me, they're fingerprint nightmares, and while I'm not a big enough power user to really be impacted by it, I can empathize with the guys handling these things daily. So then, should you go? Should you go? Yeah, it makes sense. Or should you go pro? Well, the answer to that is going to depend on you. Remember, the Go 2 are $299 US, and the Pro are an extra $100 at $399. That said, I bet the Go 2 might be seeing more sales from here on out, but is that extra $100 worth it? Perhaps a 32-bit float is all you ever wanted. I mean, it is guaranteed to save your bacon at least once. Or perhaps it comes down to those creature comforts we're talking about. Maybe timecode. That's a big one. Honestly, if any of these improvements will make your flow better, then an extra $100 might be worth it. And if you're actually doing pro work and this is your livelihood, of course, these things are going to be worth it. But if you find yourself only using these from time to time and perhaps for non-critical work, the wireless Go 2 are still awesome. That said, I'm curious to see if Rode continues with them or if they're going the way of the Dodo. What I will say though, Rode has been crushing 2023, and from the looks of it, they're not done. This is just another amazing product from a brand that looks to completely take over the audio industry. Now, if you don't believe me, check out all my Rode reviews up here.